Diddy hosted what he called freak-offs, parties so brutal that the young men and women would sometimes vomit and pass out from being drugged. They would be beaten, they would be raped. They alleged that Diddy filmed it.
We also know that the nickname Puffy comes from this temperament that he has, that he's a kind of guy who is easily angered, and when he gets angered, then he huffs and he puffs, and so people start to call him Puffy.
We're not dealing with a normal person, and the person that actually did the abuse is somebody who's powerful.
For decades, Diddy, also known as Sean Combs, seemed untouchable, a chart-topping producer, savvy entrepreneur, and the life of every glamorous party. But beneath the sleek suits and million-dollar smiles, a storm of controversies has been brewing, one that's now exploding in the public eye. From lawsuits brought by ex-partners and associates to unsettling rumors of twisted parties, his once bright image is under siege. The question is, how did this titan of music and pop culture get here? And more importantly, can he ever escape the avalanche of accusations stacking up around him?
It was so hard for me to watch. And I cried for days because I just couldn't believe that that man was physically abusing her like that.
Diddy spent years shaping himself into the ultimate music mogul. Bad Boy Records turned heads in the 90s, ushering in a new era of hip-hop and launching careers that influenced music for generations. He was the polished icon, hobnobbing with top artists, running major brands, and hosting parties so infamous they'd dominate talk shows for weeks afterward. But while the world marveled at the extravagance, rumors simmered beneath the surface. Insiders whispered about a darker side, a man who thrived on control and expected total submission from those around him. Early lawsuits and friction with artists fueled speculation that the public image of Puffy, the fun-loving party starter, might only be half the story. At first, these stories felt more like nasty gossip than actual red flags. After all, who would challenge Diddy at the height of his power? Yet as the years passed, the whispers grew louder and the rumors more consistent. Then came multiple allegations from people who had been close, some intimately so. And with each new revelation, that perfect throne he built started showing real cracks. But for anyone who assumed these allegations would just disappear, the next wave of controversy was about to make sure no one could ignore them any longer. The earliest cracks in Diddy's glamorous exterior came from persistent talk of so-called freak-off parties, secretive gatherings allegedly drenched in excess. At first, they sounded like typical Hollywood after-hours get-togethers, albeit on a more over-the-top scale.
I don't know, maybe in another 10 years we can talk about it and I really understand what I was doing. I'm just living in it. I'm literally, kind of being as open as I possibly can to new ideas and how things are done versus how things were done. And I'm trying not to be a person who's so conditioned to my past that I'm not considerate of how things have to be done and are inevitably being done. Mystique is something that is good and bad. Because what I do struggle with now is the fact that I don't feel comfortable doing these kinds of interviews and talking because I don't really know the nature of where it's gonna go. But I fuck with you, so I was like, I'm gonna come sit down with you and we're gonna have a real conversation. And I'm also too gonna hopefully, be comfortable enough to be able to be vulnerable and talk about life. And, there's what you see and then there's who I am. And there's, some judgment that comes with that on the other side. But I don't really get concerned about that. I really am. I'm living my life and I'm trying to be a great artist, but greater than that, a good person and a human, right? I'm gonna go through flaws, go through ups and downs, and my entire career has, kind of shown you that. Whether I was talking about it in music or just living through things. I've had some really, really tough times and I've not had anybody to talk to about it. I've not had the opportunity to be able to kind of open up. That's why I really was so excited about this Audibles, because it gave me the opportunity to be able to kind of peel the veil back and allow you to look at where I was mentally.
But then the story started getting darker. Some guests who attended these events claimed they were pressured into crossing lines they never wanted to cross. Rumors surfaced of heavy substance use, intimidation tactics, and even physical mistreatment. Men and women alike shared accounts of feeling trapped, powerless to leave when things got too intense. Allegations of guests being drugged, blacked out, or forcibly filmed have popped up in multiple testimonies. The real sting is that these allegations aren't coming from just one person. It's a pattern repeated in testimonies from various individuals, each sharing eerily similar experiences. When a party devolves into chaos, you might chalk it up to a singular bad night. But when there's consistent talk of bizarre, sometimes brutal incidents happening behind those ostentatious gates, it's harder to brush off. And the twisted irony. Many of these gatherings were said to be the height of exclusivity, with invites that signaled you'd made it. If half the stories are true, though, stepping into those parties might have felt more like walking into a nightmare than a dream. And no matter how shocking these rumors may be, they're just the opening act. Because as more people started speaking out, it became clear that these freak-offs were only one thread in a much more disturbing tapestry. One of the things that struck a chord for observers is how many diverse voices have spoken out against Diddy. Models, fellow artists, business associates, people who normally wouldn't stand on the same stage, are now uniting in a collective outcry. Audria English, for instance, recalled attending a series of parties that escalated in intensity each time. She described feeling like a pawn in a bigger game, noting that after the initial excitement of the first invite, everything took a strange, darker turn by the second and third. It wasn't the vibe of a Hollywood party anymore. It felt more like a setup with an agenda no one had bothered to share. Then there's April Lamprose, who alleged she was filmed without her consent. The words "no permission" have a particular weight these days, and her account adds to the perception that boundaries simply didn't exist in Diddy's realm. This wasn't just a snapshot at a club. We're talking about intimate moments, secretly documented. Rodney Jones and Joy Dickerson, two individuals who worked with or around Diddy in various capacities, paint an equally troubling portrait. They describe a power-hungry figure who micromanaged their careers, overshadowed their voices, and bullied them into submission. Jones summed it up bluntly. It was never collaboration. It was Diddy's way or nothing. When you hear these stories separately, you might dismiss them as misunderstandings or grudges. But together, they form a chorus, each voice echoing the same refrain. A powerful man wielding his influence to control, intimidate, and degrade. And that's a major reason people are finally paying attention. But believe it or not, these testimonies aren't the biggest bombshell in this saga. That would come courtesy of two names you've likely heard before, Cassie and an anonymous figure known only as Jane Doe. For a long time, Cassie and Diddy were a glittering power couple in the music world. She was the gorgeous singer with a smooth sound. He was the iconic producer who could do no wrong. But when they split, rumors immediately popped up. Why did Cassie walk away from such a high-profile relationship? Over time, Cassie began to open up about what she allegedly endured, a stifling environment where every choice, from career decisions to personal freedoms, had to go through Diddy. Friends close to her shared hushed stories of emotional distress, manipulation, and the constant feeling that she was living in someone else's shadow, not her own. While Cassie's revelations started shaking the public's perception of Diddy, another case, filed by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, took things to an even more disturbing level. Jane Doe alleged that Diddy's controlling behavior wasn't just emotional. It crossed into criminal territory. The lawsuit pointed to a pattern of psychological and physical intimidation so severe that it forced her to remain silent for years. This was when the world realized these allegations weren't just about a bad breakup or jealousy. Multiple women were pointing to a repeated method of control and manipulation, an approach so thorough that they felt genuinely frightened to speak out. The legal system got involved, and it's still unraveling the details to this day. But for Diddy, the moment he might have thought he'd seen the worst was still ahead. Another heavyweight in the industry was about to drop a bomb that threatened to blow this situation wide open. When 50 Cent speaks, hip-hop and entertainment media tend to listen. He's not shy about calling people out, and he's certainly not known for sugarcoating his words. So when he teased a Netflix project meant to expose Diddy, jaws dropped. Across social media, 50 Cent claimed to have what he called all the details, suggesting that the stories circulating about Diddy are just the tip of a colossal iceberg. He's reportedly inviting victims and insiders to come forward, offering a larger platform for them to share their testimonies. It's a savvy move. Any documentary or series he spearheads is bound to draw millions of views, and that spells trouble for Diddy. Normally, a celebrity might brush off a rival's threats, especially if it's just online banter. But 50 Cent's track record suggests he goes all in once he picks a target. If the rumors are accurate, he's gathering evidence, forging alliances, and making sure that his project has enough substance to make it impossible for Diddy or anyone else to simply dismiss. And with Netflix reportedly interested, this could turn into a massive cultural moment. Once the streaming giant puts its weight behind a story, it's hard to ignore. For Diddy, it means any hope of burying these allegations or outlasting the public's attention span may be slipping away. But even before 50 Cent's project sees the light of day, another jaw-dropping moment in this saga already unfolded, a house raid that rattled the foundations of Diddy's empire. Asterisk, it's one thing to face lawsuits in court, but it's another to witness a full-blown police raid on your mansion. Reports suggest that law enforcement arrived at Diddy's sprawling multi-million-dollar home with a clear purpose: to find tangible evidence supporting the swirling claims against him. Visualize that for a second. Men in uniform combing through gilded hallways and lavish rooms, not for a casual check, but for items that could potentially end a career. For someone as notoriously meticulous about his image as Diddy, that invasion must have felt like a personal catastrophe. The timing couldn't be worse. By this point, multiple lawsuits had been filed, new testimony was cropping up weekly, and the public was fascinated, if not horrified, by the potential scope of the accusations. For a mogul who spent decades perfecting his brand, having police pick through his personal sanctum hits on a different level. According to sources, investigators were hunting for anything from electronic records and video footage to documents that might confirm the claims of illegal or non-consensual filming. Some speculated they were also looking into potential financial records or evidence of hush money payments. The fact that the raid happened at all sends a message. This isn't a run-of-the-mill celebrity scandal that can be smoothed over with slick PR. As the authorities dig deeper, more unsettling details emerge. It's not just about one story, one lawsuit, or one relationship meltdown. It's a tapestry of allegations that stretches back over decades, possibly involving multiple victims. Whether or not the police found a smoking gun remains undisclosed. But the very act of a publicized raid signals that Diddy's empire, once so bulletproof, is now riddled with vulnerabilities. Asterisk, the allegations against Diddy have escalated from scattered rumors to a thunderous public reckoning. He's not just battling former partners, scorned exes, or envious rivals. He's facing a litany of claims that point to a consistent pattern of control, manipulation, and possibly criminal acts, from the disturbing freak-off stories to the harrowing Jane Doe lawsuit. From Cassie's departure to the ominous thread of 50 Cent's documentary, the narrative is crystal clear. This isn't about one regrettable mistake or a single lapse in judgment. It's a layered, years-long saga that's left a trail of individuals who say they've been deeply hurt or traumatized. Now, the once glittering empire that hosted legendary white parties and boasted platinum records stands on precarious ground. Court cases are active. More people are speaking up, and with public scrutiny at an all-time high, Diddy finds himself in the most perilous position of his career. Asterisk. Will he be found legally responsible for the accusations made against him? Or will the industry's short memory and the complexities of legal battles eventually fade these stories into the background? So far, it doesn't look like the outcry is weakening. More voices are coming forward each day, and 50 Cent's project might pull the curtain all the way back. For fans who once saw Diddy as the ultimate party starter and business genius, the revelations have been both heartbreaking and enraging. For the alleged victims, this could be the first time the world truly listens and demands justice. And for Diddy himself, this moment may be the hardest test he's ever faced, one that money, fame, or carefully spun PR lines might not fix. What happens next could reshape the entire conversation around power and abuse in the entertainment industry. As the courts continue to weigh the evidence and more individuals come forward, it's clear these allegations won't simply vanish. Like a snowball rolling downhill, the momentum is growing, and it's anybody's guess where it will finally stop. Will Diddy's carefully constructed empire crumble under the weight of these mounting claims, or does he still have a few cards left to play? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The age of hush-hush Hollywood secrets is fading fast, and in this new era of revelations, not even a mogul like Diddy is safe. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think these allegations will put an end to Diddy's reign, or is there still a chance he'll come out on top? Don't forget to check out the next video on similar industry scandals, where we dig into more stories that might shock you even further. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content.